What's up, SNA fans? This is Super Ninja Austin back here a few seconds later. This is Rampage Winter is Coming edition. I forgot to put that on my caption, but hey, it's what's up. Like, they didn't really pay attention much about about this past Wednesday of being a special edition of Winter is Coming of Dynamite and Rampage this Wednesday and Friday, so it doesn't even matter. But what does matter is to talk about what went down. And yeah, we did see the Von Erichs. It was Marshall and Ross Von Erich, the son of Kevin, the older brother of the original Von Erich family. And this is the second generation of the Von Erich family, taking on teaming with Orange Cassidy, taking on Jake Hager and Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker in a 6-man tag match with Danhausen in the ringside area watching, with Danhausen still wearing the purple hat, the purple fishing hat of Jake Hager, which he does not appreciate him stealing in the first place. And then this is where we start off with the match with which was I believe Marshall Von Erich. Yeah. He started off with Jake Hager, like battling out a little bit until he tagged in Orange Cassidy, which he rolled right under the ropes into the left-hand corner. This is where Orange Cassidy was getting ready to face the ladder, like into this match. Like, it's where he put his hands on his pockets. Like, this is where Jake Hager tried to go for a clothesline, but he ducks, run right towards the upper right corner of Tina the Turnbuckle. This is where Jake Hager tried to go for a clothesline right on the Orange Cassidy, but this is where Orange Cassidy ducks out of the way, runs right towards the upper corner ropes into the in the ring. This is where he ducks down, which I think that was very I would say idiotic, but I'll say that was very inconvenient of doing so. I should say, like, of bowing down, of ducking his head down, because everybody knows that's easily the counter out of, especially when you're in your consciousness. This is where he tried to go for a sunset flip. This is where he grabs onto Orange Cassidy. This is where he spins him around a bit until he put him right on the top rope onto the the lower left corner. This is where the referee's like, all right, 1, 2, because he still had his hands on him. He's like, I got my hands off. Like, now I need to finish him off and get my hat back from his idiotic vampire best friend. And then this is where it's like, wait, like, stop. And this is where he puts his hands on. Okay, now I'm ready. Looking like a Bugs Bunny inspired cartoon character. This is where he leapfrogs over Jake Hager when he tried to run right towards him, and he hits left shoulder first, I believe, onto the lower left corner of Tina the Turnbuckle. This is where Orange Cassidy runs right through the top. This is where he runs for the top left corner, I believe. It was the top, not top. I mean, I'm talking about the top corner ropes. Hits a running drop kick right onto Jake Hager, right in the midsection. And then also we got this is where we got, and we're gonna get to the near the end of the match with Kevin Von Erich, not Kevin. I'm thinking of his dad, Marshall Von Erich. Yeah. The Von Erich family, and I'll say this was the best AEW Rampage I have ever seen in this year so far. Like, I agree with Jericho from that tweet from that wrestling news report from YouTube, from one of my fellow YouTubers. That's where, but anyway, this is where he hits a discus forearm right onto my what's his name, Matt Menard, I believe, and then. No, it was Coy Angelo Parker hits a right hand, and then he hits a Giri kick right on the Matt Menard, which he had Angelo Parker lay onto the lower left corner side of the turnbuckle, and then the upper right corner side of the turnbuckle was what's his name, Matt Menard, Daddy Magic. This is where Kevin. This is where not Kevin. I mean Like I'm saying, Kevin. I mean, Marshall Von Erich started in the clothesline right on to Angelo Parker first. Then second, it was Matt Menard until he started doing it trying to go for a pattern kind of manner, but he gets booed right into the face by Cool Hand Ange. This is where Parker goes right to the lower left corner. This is where he caught up in the middle ropes with a drop kick. This is where he flipped right over the top rope, landed right onto the bottom corner rope. This is where Matt Menard attacks him from behind and try to Irish whip Marshall Von Erich right onto the right corner, the upper right, into the turbo. But Marshall counters and threw Matt Menard instead. This is where um, This is where his brother Ross Von Erich came in and offered to Irish whip him, which he gladly accepted. This is where I try Irish whip him, but instead he threw him instead and hit the knee strike right onto the right arm onto what's his name uh uh Matt Menard, Daddy Magic. This is where Ross Von Erich gets a slide swiping kick. This is where he's like, all right, back to your apron. This is where he's like, all right, like I'm not gonna do no more damages unless I'm illegal, man. This is where Jake Hager tried to go for a clothesline, but this is where Ross Von Erich tried to help save the day, but he still got hit anyways. And this is where he got hit along with Marshall. This is where Jake Hager turned around. This is where Orange Cassidy tried to go for a flying cross tornado DDT. But this is where Jake Hager counters, got him into a suplex, but he gets stun gunned by Orange Cassidy. This is where got Stung Dog Millionaire, I should say. This is where both Ross and Marshall Von Erich double drop kick Jake Hager, rolling him into the left corner of the ringside area. This is where Marshall was like, "Yeah, that's right, that's what's up." And then this is where Orange Cassidy hit the suicide dive right onto Jake Hager. This is where Matt Menard throw Ross Von Erich out in the outside. This is where Marshall Von Erich throws Matt Menard onto the outside. I was like, man, these guys are entertaining. Too bad I never got a chance to see their dad and their uncles wrestle in their time in pro wrestling. Well, I could look them up on YouTube, and watch them like I did with other wrestlers. That's wrestling like I saw from New Japan and Ring of Honor with the likes of Kenny Omega and Adam Cole, of course, because those are one of my favorite wrestlers, along with other wrestlers on AEW and WWE of all times. But anyway, this is where he did that. This is where Cool Hand Angelo Parker, Ruby Soho's crush, Cool Hand Angelo Parker hits Marshall Von Erich with the most devastating move in all of the sports entertainment, the surprise roll up. This is where Angelo Parker tried to go again. He tried to slide and try to do the exact same roll up like he did to the Marshall Von Erich. This is where he tried to go for a move which he was slow of doing, because this is where Marshall Von Erich easily went right through him, hit him with a surprise roll up, which is known as the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This is where, and that's when he got the 1, 2, 3. I was like, wow, they made the most devastating move actually like a devastating move, in all sports entertainment. I mean, like Xavier Woods, but more dominant, when they hit the maneuver. I was like, wow, this is from the Kevin, the older brother of the Von Erich family. This is from the older brother's sons. There's 2 sons wrestling, and his I believe his younger son. I think Marshall's the youngest, and Ross is the older one. But yeah, they got but correct me if I'm wrong. The Von Erich fans. The Von Erich family and their fans, please correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. But I think that's how the scenario was, because according to what the commentator said on tonight's edition of AEW Rampage. But this is where, but then they got the win. Ross and Marshall and Orange Cassidy won the match. This is where But unfortunately, this is where Matt Menard, Daddy Magic Matt Menard, and Cool Hand Angelo Parker attacks him from behind. And Jake Hager, they start stomp onto the ground. This is where they start trying to beat down those guys, beat down the guys. And this is where it was lead up to Danhausen. This is where he was like, oh, you better step back, or I'm gonna use the cards that I know how to use these good old pointers right here. And this is where he tried to go for. Like, I got a deadly weapon inside here, and I know how to use them very well. And they've been sorry before, but it seemed like Daddy Magic Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker was not buying it. This is when they try to grab him, try to double team or triple team more with Matt Menard and Cool Hand Angelo Parker grab one arm of Danhausen, respectively. This is where Jake Hager was like, I'll be taking this back, thank you. And this is where he tried to put it back on his head, like before he even grab it. This is where we saw the legendary Kevin Von Erich come out there and take down to try to help take down the former Jericho Appreciation Society group. Like with the former three members, I should say. This is where the distraction worked because his sons, Kevin Von Erich's two sons, and Danhausen, managed to come back and start beating down the guys. And when Orange Cassidy come back in the ring, when both Ross and Marshall Von Erich doing the Iron Claw, like squeezing a jig, more deadly than the Great Khali's vice grips, I should say, the vice grip brain, the brain squeezer, I should say. And this is where Danhausen punches. This is where he hits the punch of the curse of punches, like onto Jake Hager's or a curse punch, I should say, like right into the family jewels of Jake Hager. I was like, hopefully he has a family already. This is where Orange Cassidy comes from the lower corner of the ringside area, and this is where he hits his signature finishing maneuver that he will never hit on Super Ninja Austin, which is the Orange Punch. This is where Kevin Von Erich came in the ring and hit the Iron Claw on Jake Hager, and then they celebrated together because his two sons, and their tag partner his tag partner that teamed with them in the match won the match, and then it was very nice of Tony Khan of letting Kevin Von Erich's sons wrestle for AEW, even if it's for a one-off, but unless he offers them contracts, for considering they have wrestling experience. But that depends if he's interested of offering contracts and convinced that they look all elite wrestling material enough to joining them, I should say, in the full proper sentence into the term of AEW. But yeah, what you thought about this match? I would say perhaps number one match of the night. In the main event, second match of the night. I mean, for the fact that it's the legendary Kevin Von Erich sons are teaming with Orange Cassidy in a very entertaining match. But I'll say either way, it still was a good match of the night, and it deserves a number one match of the night, of the list on my list, I should say. Deserves the number one match, I should say. Yeah. The first match that was really great. This is where we got Mark Briscoe was this is where the interviewer man was like next week you'll be facing, who was it? I believe. I don't think it's Jay Lethal, or is it? I think it was Jay Lethal, if I'm not mistaken. This is where he was like even if you win, you still not have a chance of being in the semifinals in the tournament, and let alone be fighting for the Continental Triple Crown champions, in AEW's World's End at December 30th, in the day, which is the day before New Year's Eve, of course. It is how do you feel about that? What's your intention of winning the Continental Classic? He's like, look, I don't be sorry about any of those things. I'll tell you what I'm fighting for. Fighting what I do for. Damn it! Don't feel sorry for anything. Which I had plenty of wise friends and family that tell me that never be a sorry person. Which which I agree on that. Like, you never should be sorry. Like, yeah, always. But then this is where Mark Briscoe's like, like fighting what I've been put on this earth for. Them boys, the Briscoe brothers, like the best tag team that ever done it. Like let's put it this perspective for like this is like my rookie year, like when I got started in my pro wrestling career. Like 20 years of tag team wrestling, like the baddest tag team that ever did it. And I'm like my rookie season, like the singles wrestler. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no shame in my game, like, dog. Like, this is where Jay Lethal's like, hey, how you doing? And with Sanjay Dutt, this is where Mark Briscoe's like, hey, just the boys I like to see, especially you, Jay and Sanjay. How's it going, Sanjay? And then this is where it is like, how you going, Double J and Miss Double J? Like, how's the whole team Jeff Jarrett family crew going? Like, this is where Jay Lethal's like, yeah, what a coincidence. It looked like it's you and me next week, fighting over for the final spot in this tournament. And this is where he was like, look, Jay, look, you still not having to win just like me. So don't. So no offense, but you don't stand a chance we'll get someone like me, even though I'm in your same level, when you hanging with these two carny clowns, you don't have a chance, and you cannot you will not be longer in this tournament, if you're gonna be hanging out with these guys with that attitude. And this is where Jay Lethal's like. And this is where Jeff Jarrett's wife, Karen Jarrett, was like you're talking about my nephew like that. Like, look where it got you. Like look where it got you with your attitude. Like, you're talking about us. Like, this is where Jeff Jarrett. I mean, not Jeff Jarrett. This is where Jeff Jarrett said, like, yeah, agree. Like, look at you right now. Like, before you start looking at others. This is where Mark Briscoe's like, all right, you got me on one thing about that on that point. Like, fair point. But that will be a change, and that can arrange at this coming Wednesday on Dynamite. This is where Jay Lethal's like, I got this right here. I got this. I need to talk to him face to face. I thought, and before, and he's like, no worries, there's not gonna be no altercations, no beef, or no anything that could be in the mind of Mark, which it was the total opposite when they left the room, and they were wishing each other luck. This is what Jay Lethal was like, hey, there's a lot of history, man. And this is where Mark Briscoe was like, hey, you and me, we go way back in our Ring of Honor days. Next week, man, whatever, nothing. There's nothing out of line, nothing personal. I just want it to be a clean, fair fight. He was like, he's like in the Seaside Heights, New Jersey, where we 20 odd years ago. You know what I mean, Jay? No, I remember that. It is where he started chuckling, yeah, I totally remember that. Over 20 plus years. Some 20 odd years ago, this Jay was like, yeah, he's like, my parents were screaming louder than your parents in that event, when it was just us, getting our start in pro wrestling. It is this is where Mark Briscoe's like, yeah, I don't know about that though, but I gotta tell you, we're good, man. We were trying to fight for over a game, man. And Jay was like, about the honor. This is where. And it is where Mark Briscoe's like, hey, I like it. I like that honor style wrestling. Yeah. This is where he was like, yeah, I'll see you next week. Which was that was the backstage segment on AEW exclusive online. When he got interviewed, and it was a face to face face to face confrontation rather than an altercation. But anyways, yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win and have a last chance of trying to come back and be and try to be in the finals, which it's unlikely for either man at this point, considering that the likes of Jon Moxley and Swerve Strickland and Jay White are number one on the list. but I think, and I think all y'all gonna think I'm crazy for saying this, but I would I would predict that Mark Briscoe is gonna win, and he's uh, gonna try to stay in this kind of tournament. But I think he's still not gonna win the whole entire thing. Like even if he wasn't 0-12, I believe he's like right now. Like I don't think they count the numbers. I would say more likely he's 0-4 right now. More like with losses on with 4 weeks in a row into this Continental Classic turmoil match, I should say. In this, but I think like even if he wasn't, I still think he's not the favorite to win. But I think he'll be kind of the underdog at the same time. But yeah, but let me know in the comments down below if you what you think about who's gonna win. And I think if Jay Lethal does lose, I think he will be kicked out of the team of Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay Dutt and them, like which he's gonna see what exactly what Mark Briscoe means, and he's gonna turn into some kind of a tag team match with Jeff Jarrett and Sanjay Dutt taking on Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe. But let's move on to the next slide, which is the which was a squash match with Kyle Fletcher and it was a squash match with Kyle Fletcher and Powerhouse Will Hobbs, which that didn't last for not even 1 minute, and they got the 1, 2, 3 by squashing with their respective finishing maneuver. This is where Don Callis had a couple things to say to Jericho and to have him to send the message to Kenny Omega. He was like, look, it's Jericho and Omega, the Golden Jets. Like, it's a dream team, like Jericho in the sarcasm voice. This is where Don Callis continues to say, how did two of the biggest stars in the history of wrestling come together as a tag team? And Jericho's like, what does this fool have to talk about? Like, why can I get some peace away from team Don Callis family? Which that's a good question because yeah, they're like some revived cockroaches. Like they can uh, they can live in they live from getting squashed about 175 million times, metaphorically, I should say, in a random kind of statement of how many times they can survive from getting squashed like a bug. And this is where Don Callis was like, like, and this is where he said well, you know why y'all paired up as a team? Like, it's because of fear. Because without y'all are weaker. Like Kenny Omega was afraid after what Takeshita as Kyle did to him. Like, not that long ago. It was fear. Like what you thought that you could hide behind the skirts of a tag team division. And fans are booing him like more louder than Dominic Mysterio has ever been booed in WWE. Well, I'm not sure. I think I was exaggerating, and I'd say it was like at least just a little bit less, but it was almost as much as Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio has been booed in WWE and all brands he's been on, like Raw, SmackDown, NXT, even perhaps from his time as North American Champion, of course. This is where, like I was like, he did one. You can may run both Kenny and Jericho, but you cannot hide. Like and Chris, right? You can't hide in the tag team division. We're in the tag team division, and then as I always do, I will revolutionize like wrestling. Like when a new call, something I call the Con Callis family rules. And what that means, Jericho, is that 82 of the Don Callis family members can beat the Golden Jets at any time. The Don Callis family will rule on how we play from this moment forward. And this is where I hit the thumbs up after dropping the mic. Like after and this where and this where they and then this is where they pick up one of their sacrificial lambs that they defeated, like to decapitate the head off of this enhancement talent, like metaphorically, of course, like when she's metaphorically sending the statement to Jericho, like he's gonna be served on a silver platter with a separate head of Jericho and Omega, which I doubt that will happen. Like I don't think it is just all childish games, like, and it's just some cap and talk from Don Callis and Powerhouse Will Hobbs and what's his name and Kyle Fletcher. That's what his name. Yeah, Kyle Fletcher. But I think we will have a tag team match down the line, whether if it's at an upcoming Dynamite or Collision show on Saturday or Wednesday, anytime in December, or anytime after World's End, because like this a week, 2 weeks from the Saturday, I believe, yeah, which is gonna be the night before New Year's Eve, which which is gonna be Saturday, December 30th, which is going to be the Golden Jets taking on the current reigning defending AEW Tag Team Champions, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, which I believe they will win. It'll be the new AEW Tag Team Champion. They're going to continue the storyline with the Don Callis family with some two certain individuals that Kenny Omega knows very well. They're going to turn on Kenny in favor of Don Callis, which is my theory. That's what's going to happen in the foreseeable future in the next 2 weeks. But let me know in the comments if you think differently or you agree on my theorized prediction. But let's move on to the next. Move on to a backstage not vignette, a segment more like with a promo segment with Ruby Soho saying like he was like, yeah, maybe I've been a little distracted lately, but despite all that, like you still hardly treat me like if I'm a human being, like, and maybe I'll deserve to be part of the outcast. Like, sorry, Miss Jackson, ooh, or if not, sorry, Miss Soraya, ooh. But anyways, this is where before she had a chance to say all that, like at the end, the last part, saying maybe she don't belong to the outcast. This is where Soraya came in. She was like, Ruby, like, listen, like, I'm still running wild around it, like, because you put, like, and this is driving me insane what's going on with you and Angelo. And you, and also make matters worse, you lost this match from this past Wednesday on AEW Dynamite against Riho. And I am sick and tired of you. Like right now, like you need me, like because you are nothing without me. And this is where Ruby Soho's like, please stop just once, like just stop it. Like this was like, okay, like despite what you think about you, like every step of the way, but you think you can do it all by yourself. Like by yourself, like why don't you go beat Riho and see how I feel? And this is where she start thinking like maybe she has a point. Like Riho is not just an easy individual to defeat. I was like, yeah, no chizzes. But up next, we do have Anna Jay up next, taking on what's her name, Red Velvet. With Red Velvet getting an early start of hitting strikes onto Anna Jay, put her right onto the upper right corner of Tina the Turnbuckle on the bottom turnbuckle pad. This is where she, I believe, hit her with a knee strike right to the face. This is where Red Velvet was get. This is where she goes for a striking forearm right onto Anna Jay, but this is where she moved right all the way. This is where she slides right onto the apron onto the upper right. This is where she hits a striking left hand, but this is where Anna Jay hits a striking right forearm right to to Red Velvet's face. This is where Anna Jay runs right from the left corner side, hits a running back spinning roundhouse kick, like sliding, like doing that like a sliding leg, like a leg swirl, I should say, a sliding leg swirl in the process. This is where Anna Jay grabs onto Red Velvet, hit her face first right onto the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring, with the right corner side. More harder than my nephew's monster trucks. See? But anyways, this is where Anna Jay grabs onto the arm and the legs, like with the side of what's her name of Red Velvet's torso, right, bending right onto her left side of her torso, bending right onto the rear of the ring post in the inner side on the upper right corner. This is where Anna Jay's like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, and that's why I am the future of the AEW's women's division. Somewhat, I'm like, I'll say maybe so, but at the same time, I think you still have a lot. You got a lot more to go. You got a lot more to do. Like a lot more to learn and a lot more to do before you can even get up to that level. But anyway, this is where she start continuing to bend her left torso like back, like where it shouldn't be bending, like which was it was going towards the right rather than the left, which look very dangerous. Like let's hope she don't really breaks her torso in the process of doing this maneuver right onto the corner turn. This is where she started continuing her beat down right into the inner side of the ring. This is where this is where Red Velvet finally got back on her feet. This is where she started making a comeback when Anna Jay tried to go for a suplex, like to like some kind of like a similarity of a Three Amigos. But this is where like when she tried to go for a second time, but unfortunately for Anna, she didn't have a chance to do so because Red Velvet counters and hits I believe a suplex on her own, of her own respectively, of course. This is where Red Velvet was like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. And this is where she started trying to get back on her feet, like, but her right knee was nearly giving out, but she still was managing to get back up. Just where she has a running axe handle, axe handle right onto her face on the first time, and then an elbow right to the a bit of back elbow. This is where Anna Jay tried to go for a shoulder tackle. She dodged out of the way. This is where she pushed her right towards the right hand corner ropes. This is where Red Velvet hits the back leg and heel kick right onto the face of Anna Jay. She's like, it's time, it's time. Like, it's time. Like, you see on my watch? Like, what time is it? And she's like, it's time to stir up time. This is where she did so by hitting the double knees, put to the back of Anna Jay when she was hanging off the middle, not the middle, the middle ropes of the bottom corner ropes. This is where Red Velvet did a slingshot with the ropes, like sending her back into the middle of the canvas. This is where she tried to go for a spinning tornado kick, but this is where Anna Jay avoided that. This is where she picks her up into a gory bomb slam, which I believe that's an inspiring maneuver that she learned probably from like somebody in the Guerrero family, at least Uchavo, like because he used that the last time he used that was a decade ago, and then probably his time when he was Andrade's manager at the time, like probably get trained with Anna Jay to help her know how to do the gory bomb. She's probably inspired by that move by him and his uncle's maneuver or cousin, whatever you want to call it. But either way, yeah, she hit her with the gory bomb. She got the one, like she knew he got the 1, 2, 3. But this is where what's her name? Red Velvet kicked out of the move, like getting her shoulders up right on time. This is when Matt Menard's like, ow, my head, like ow. And then where Daddy Magic was like, I'm not trying to distract you. Like, I'm trying to explain to you about something. This is where even Jericho was like, what are you doing out here, like Daddy Magic? Like, now's not the time. Like Anna's trying to get the win. Like, get out of there. Like, Mr. Red Velvet did her with the most devastating move in all sports entertainment. Never got the 3, but only got 2.99999 it's herself. Like, yeah, negative 0.1 away from being 3. This is where Anna Jay tried to go for a clothesline, but this is where what's her name? Red Velvet ducked out of the way. This is where she hits discus lariat right into the standing, like a standing discus lariat onto her. This is where Daddy Magic Matt Menard was jumping up onto the apron. This is where he's like, "Hey, you can't do that. Like she was about to beat you." And he's like, "But I don't want no trouble, so I'm gonna get out down." Like this is where Red Velvet's like, "You better get down, and you better stay down. Like when you get down." This is where this is where this is where Anna Jay trying to charging at Red Velvet, trying to bulldoze her. This is where she moved out of the way. She nearly did so to Matt Menard. Like if she haven't stepped on her brakes at the last second. This is where Red Velvet tried to go for a striking right hand onto the face of Anna Jay, but she ducks right away, and Matt Menard hits instead, like hitting right onto and knocking him right off the apron. This is where Anna Jay grabs onto Red Velvet, hitting her with the Queen Slayer, the Queen Slayer. I mean, this is where she had her with the Queen's trying to make her tap out or put her to sleep, like she did with all the women she faced in the past. When she did so here, when she finally had Red Velvet well distracted to hit the maneuver, putting the maneuver onto the former baddies member of baddies member, I should say. But yeah, what do you thought about this match? Like with Anna Jay defeating Red Velvet, I want to give her congratulations. Something that I rarely give the wrestlers. I'm gonna start doing that from now on, saying like congratulations for all the winners of tonight's wrestling event, and wish them the better for their foreseeable future in their respective careers into this industry. But let's move on to the next wrestling news slide. Not news slide, what I say wrestling recap slide, I should say. Recap, which was Top Flight. And this is where we got the main event tag team match with Top Flight's Darius and Dante Martin and Action Andretti taking on the team of Penta El Zio Miedo and El Hijo Vikingo and Commander, I believe. And this is where they had a very group match. I was like, if the trios match in the beginning of the show, which is the opener, didn't had a really entertaining match, I would say this was the number one match of the night. I would say this was really good, and even Jericho admitted that this was the best, if not the greatest match he has ever seen in his 33-year in his pro wrestling career. And here you go. But anyway, this is where this starts off with, I believe, Penta and no, it was Dante Martin and Commander. That's who it was. Which they started trading moves like with them going doing the wrist lock, I should say. That's what it's called. Like because of course they should call it a wrist lock because obviously you're twisting most of the wrist on top and then going back on the arm. But this is where Dante Martin hits a discus elbow right onto his face. This is where he starts stomping onto the midsection of Commander. This is where he tries to Irish whip him to the bottom corner ropes. This is where Commander rolls out of his Irish whip. It goes for like some kind of a crucifix kind of lock, like turn into like a what's that called? Abdominal stretch. And this is where he's trying to go for the upper right of the. This is where he tried to go for a running attack, flying monkey flip, like when he had Dante Martin placed on the upper right corner. This is where he runs right from the left side to try to go for a flying monkey flip. This is where This is where Dante Martin puts him right on the mid ropes. This is where he tried to grab onto his leg, but he pushed. But this is where not Vikingo, Commander hits a kick right to the face, like pushing him in the midsection backwards. This is where he tried to go up right on the top, runs right from the upper right corner, like to back on the top rope or mid rope, I should say. This is where Commander dodges out of his attack or charge, I should say, and runs right towards the other side, the diagonal from them into the lower left corner. Yeah, this is where Commander try to go for a attack move right onto Dante Martin, but he moved right out of the way himself. There's plenty of high flies into this match, but just to let you know, by the way, like this is like something that you will see at some kind of a high flying indie event, like which I believe all these guys came from, like from independent wrestling promotions, like which I'll say this is very impressive, and yeah, I'll say even though they did high flying maneuver, they still was hitting hard hitting slammable maneuvers as well. Like even for doing top rope moves as well, despite that. But yeah, this is where he went right onto the middle ropes off the upper right corner. This is where he hits a springboard like try to go for a springboard like a Hurricane Rana maneuver. But this where Commander prevented by messing with the ropes that Dante Martin was trying to jump off of. This is where he dodges out of the counter. This is where he flips over to the other side into the right corner onto the apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. Well, all the sides of the apron are the hardest part of the ring, of course. This is where Penta El Cielo try to go for attack onto Dante Martin, but he hits a right hand right to the face of him, and the same with Vikingo. Like when he tried to go for an attack, this is where he got a fireman's carry from Dante Martin. And he got a fireman's carry from Dante Martin when he tried to grab onto Commander with a K off the top rope. This is where he flips off into the inside of the ring. This is where Commander goes right onto goes for a diving rolling flip like maneuver. This is where he flips. This is where Dante Martin go back in the ring. This is where he pushed. This is where Commander tried to bring Dante Martin down to his feet. This is where he pushes him in the midsection back with his legs. This is where he still trying to go and charge at an attack Dante Martin, but Dante Martin Dante Martin moved out of the way, which he landed down on his feet, not down, laying hard down onto the mat back first. This is where Dante Martin tried to go for a pinfall maneuver, but this is where not Vikingo, Commander. I'm starting to be like. I'm starting to be like on my SmackDown reviews with Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. I know they're teaming together, but that doesn't mean they share the same name. But anyway, this is where Commander rolls out of it. This is where Dante Martin goes for a surprise roll up. This is where he kicks only at one even. This is where Dante Martin was running. I'm not running, more like walking slowly, like towards Commander's way. He's like you better step back, or I will strike. This is where he This is where he slowed down. This is where they did in a joking way, of course. It's because they don't have no hate for each other. They just in trios competition, like trying to earn themselves an opportunity for the trios tag team championship. So they did a handshake slash high five, or should I say more like a handshake rather than more than a high five. But the only thing that's simulated a high five because they do it real quick, like with a snap. But anyways, this is where Commander finally does tag in Vikingo, and this is where Dante Martin tagged in Action Andretti, which he's an honorary member of Top Flight. Like this is where we have a battle, have them battle it out, Vikingo and Action Andretti, like with them going locking horns with each other. This is where Vikingo hits a spinning back roundhouse kick right to the midsection uh, of Action Andretti. This is where he slides forward and back. This is where he try to go for a sunset flip. Andretti roll out of it into a counter, picks him up from the ground into a scoop up suplex, which made him nearly slam him right into the canvas. This is where Vikingo flips out of it, pushes him right to the left hand corner ropes. This is where This is where he pushes him right onto the left hand corner ropes. This is where he bounces back and forward and back. This is like a boomerang, and this is where he hits him with a back spinning some kind of looking like some kind of a Blue Thunder Bomb maneuver, which we haven't seen that in a while because we hardly see Sami Zayn and Chris Statlander on TV lately. Well, a good reason for Sami Zayn because he asked for time off to be with his family, getting ready for the holidays, and they wrote him off obviously with this injury storyline with Drew McIntyre attacking him backstage after his match of suffering a leg injury. But anyways, this is where he tried to go for a Blue Thunder Bomb, but this is where I believe Action Andretti rolled out of it into a sunset flip, which he nearly had him into a pinfall position, but this is where he rolled out of it before the referee could even count to one. This is where he tried to go for a sliding snapmare kick right into the head of Action Andretti, but he ducks out of the way, picks him up, scoops him up, go back down go for a surprise roll up, but they still standing. When even for the roll up, he flipped up. This is where they start looking face to face. There's they hit a fist bump. It's like, yeah, you got some moves. This is where Action Andretti was like, same with you. Which they do. This was most entertaining. Even though the match with not Kevin, his sons. I'm doing it. I'm doing it again. Anyways, Ross and Marshall Von Erich team with Orange Cassidy to take on Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Jake Hager in that 6-man match. It was very entertaining. I'll say, usually trios matches are very difficult to make more entertaining. Unless you're a main eventer there's multi-men, whether if it's a faction versus faction or a heel faction against a paired up babyface trio, with them they have their singles pushes, for an example, with the likes. What happened with for an example, with Cody Rhodes' team with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, when Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn started teaming as a tag team against the Usos at the beginning of this year, when they took on, I believe, was the Bloodlines of Usos and Solo Sikoa, and also the Judgment Day later on into the year of this year of 2023. But anyway, this is where Action tagged in Darius Martin. This is where it was next up. It was Darius Martin and Penta El Zio Miedo. They were head up face to face, getting ready to battle it out into the 6-man tag match. This is where Penta started, making the fans start chanting El Zio Miedo, clap, 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 and this is where ever since he got in where he got tagged in by Vikingo, this is where we got plenty of a fair share of fans wearing his mask that were saying it along with the others that does not have a mask on whatsoever. But anyway, this is where he does the El Zio Miedo hand thingamajig kind of pose and pushed it right into Darius Martin's face. And this is where Darius Martin's like, all right, if you do that, I'm going to hit a very nasty chop. Luckily, it was silent and not draw the attentions of Gunther. I guess he's going to give him a pass, I suppose. And this is where Penta LCM the gloves come off for doing that. It is where he slowly and wiggly and vibratingly grab and pull off the gloves out of his hands. Tossed it to his manager Alex Abrahantes. I'll be right back. Oh, you call? Yes, sir, man. Okay. Oh, I'm almost done. Just a few minutes, brother. I'll be done. Yeah. Yes, I'm gonna finish it, and I'm gonna help him do that. Yeah. Yes, ma'am, and sir. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Penta's like, yeah, he got the glove out his hand. He threw it out to Abrahantes. This is where he Irish whip. This is where he tried to Irish whip. What's his name? Darius Martin right onto the bottom corner ropes. This is where he got. This is where he counters. Darius Martin counters Penta. This is where through those ropes. This is where he tried to clothesline him, but this is where he should have known he was going to hit him with the sling blade because he's like the third ever wrestler who ever done it in this modern day. Like with this modern day, in modern day, like in all of professional wrestling, which first goes to Seth Rollins, I believe, and second Finn Balor, and now third Penta El Zero Miedo. But anyway, this is where he tried to go for another clothesline. I guess he didn't learn from the first hit because he tried to go for a clothesline, and this is where Penta hits a second sling blade. This is where not accident. I hate doing this right now. I mean, this is where Darius Martin rolled out of the ring. This is where Dante Martin and Accident Andretti try to go for a double clothesline. Penta ducks out of the way. This is where Commander El Hijo Vikingo hits a drop kick right onto the two other members of Top Flight. This is where Vikingo went right onto the left corner apron. This is where he was getting ready for either man to do a suicide dive, or both of them, of course, because they were like, El Cielo Miedo,